Hello everyone, welcome to a new car rant. That's right, I know we had no video out last week, but we are back on YouTube. We're not going anywhere, so I hope you all enjoy this new video. What with the coronavirus going crazy right now, I'm sure you're all quarantined inside your rooms, which will give you plenty of time to go through my entire channel and watch every single video. Soon enough, if you do that, I'll have enough money to buy a whole roll of toilet paper. And I mean, if we can afford that, we're almost at Koenigsegg level right now. Expensive cars being mentioned, I'm sure we're all very upset, and I was too when I heard that the Geneva Motor Show 2020 was canceled this year. Can I get a moment of silence? Oh, this is obviously, it's the best car show in the world. I mean, that's where every new car that is awesome is released, almost every new car. I mean, we were gonna have all kinds of stuff going on at this show, and it was canceled. So we had a bunch of online releases from all the car companies, and today we're gonna go through some of the best ones that were released. I think that the star of the show, and I think we'll probably start it off because I bet you guys want to hear about it, is the Koenigsegg Geneva. I heard rumors quite a while ago that Koenigsegg was working on a four-seater car, and I was like, oh no. Is it gonna be like a Lamborghini Urus? Is it gonna be one of those things? Like, Koenigsegg, are you making an SUV? But it's okay, because they didn't. Koenigsegg is still the best brand ever. While everyone's making super fast SUVs that are pointless and just weird, Koenigsegg went ahead and made maybe my new favorite car. I don't say that lightly. Currently, it's the Koenigsegg Jesko is my favorite car, so I mean Koenigsegg for Koenigsegg, what's gonna happen? As soon as you hear some of the details about this car, if you don't already, it's just mind-blowing. Koenigsegg Geneva, okay? Their first four-seater car, and actually their first all-wheel drive car, something no one's really talking about. But let's talk about some of the epic things about this. I mean, if you guys know me, I love cars that are just different and do new stuff, and Koenigsegg has been doing that since they started. We got the Regera with a one-speed gearbox and just crazy stuff like that. The Geneva carries over these sort of new technology stuff into what's supposed to be a slightly less expensive, more practical, usable Koenigsegg, which it seems kind of weird, but it actually, they pulled it off. This is a car that can do so many things so well, but yet have like no compromises. It's crazy. Some of the awesome stuff about this. Let's go into the drivetrain first, because it's just insane. I mean, I hope you guys can tell how hype I am about this car. And that's why we need the New York Auto Show to not be canceled, because I need to see it in person. Thankfully, that hasn't been canceled, that's just been delayed, but let's hope this coronavirus doesn't just, you know, destroy everything. Drivetrain, yeah. So it's all-wheel drive. You have a 2-liter twin-turbo 3-cylinder. Now, if that isn't weird enough, it's powering the front wheels. So in the back, it is still mid-engine. It fits behind the rear seats. It's this crazy 3-cylinder engine that uses their free valve technology, and it's twin-turbo. I've never heard of a twin-turbo 3-cylinder. And get this, 600 horsepower from the 3-cylinder alone, and like 400 something pound-feet of torque. That's a 3-cylinder that makes 3 times the horsepower, over 3 times the horsepower of my Dart. But it's so cool. They use the free valve technology, which is a valve system that does not use a camshaft. It's controlled by an AI system, which is so cool. It controls where the air goes, to what turbo, what spools up. Well, anyway, it's just an ingenious engine and so cool. And they say it's going to sound kind of like a 5-cylinder because it still has large pistons in it, and it's gonna be real cool. So that is connected to another electric motor on the crankshaft of that 3-cylinder. So combined, that makes about 1,000 horsepower. That uses the same Koenigsegg direct drive as the Regera. So it powers about 1,000 horsepower, right? It takes that to the front wheels through an axle. So instead of having front engine rear wheel drive, it's mid-engine front wheel drive. So that goes to the front wheels. So you have 1,000 horsepower on the front wheels with no gear changes. And then it has 2 more electric motors on the back wheels, providing 500 horsepower each. So you'd say, okay, well that's 2,000 horsepower. Not quite, because the same thing with the Regera. Total, it makes like 1,800 horsepower, but at one given point, it only makes 1,500 horsepower. They put a power curve and everything out there. As they combine differently to give torque in different areas and all that crazy stuff, ultimately it gives 1,700 horsepower. This 4-seat Koenigsegg is the most powerful Koenigsegg ever made. I'm just mind blown. That's how the drivetrain sort of works. We have a picture of it here. The batteries actually go underneath the seats, so you have great weight distribution. I mean, it's just packaged so well. It's still a 2-door, which I think is really cool, and it's got these massive still Koenigsegg doors on it. It's so cool. You can see that it still has the Koenigsegg sort of features. And actually, let's move into the styling now. So that's how most of that stuff works. You have 4 seats. The interior, I love the interior. However, I don't like it in yellow. I'm just gonna say now. Koenigsegg was like, it's designed after an egg, almost, the whole thing, like an egg shape. Apparently that's like the perfect shape or something. I don't know. They like eggs, I mean, okay. That interior, I really like it, but the yellow is pretty strong. I would get it like in black with like kind of white and like green or something. You have the massive Koenigsegg doors that'll open up and actually allow you to get in and out of the back. Christian von Koenigsegg, I was watching a video on it, said that the whole point is for the rear passengers to have the same amount of attention as the front passengers. So they both have screens, 8 cup holders, heated and cooled cup holders. I'm sure the seats are heated and cooled. You got a screen in the back. It's just, can you imagine getting in this car? You got the whole squad in it and you just rip it in that thing? I personally really like the styling. Does it look as good as the Jesko? I have to see it in person. But honestly, the fact that you can even compare them, it being a 4-seater car, is pretty epic. I think Koenigsegg did an amazing job on the styling. They didn't overkill it. They didn't make it a little, they didn't make it too subtle. It's right where it needs to be. Something they said they did is to make it look like proportionally correct, is they kept all the proportions the same, but kind of swelled everything up. So the wheels are a bit bigger, the doors are bigger, the, Koenigsegg sort of canopy is bigger, but it just looks right, especially when you see it outside in a few clips. It looks really good. I'm impressed with it. Obviously, it still has Koenigsegg carbon fiber wheels, and the exhaust on the back and that fin, it just... So, some performance number on this, remember, 4-door car. It is all-wheel drive now, 1,700 horsepower, like I said, and combined like 2,500 foot-pounds of torque or something crazy like that. I'm just like, 0 to 60, 1.9 seconds. 1.9 seconds. This is a over 4,000 pound car that can do 0 to 60 in the same amount of time as an all-out hypercar, faster than the majority of them. I mean, the only other cars that can do 1.9 seconds to 60 are the Pininfarina and the Rimac, both full electric cars. I'm not sure about the Lotus time. They haven't quoted a Lotus Evija 0 to 60 time yet, but I mean, it's like, what? You have 4 people in the car and you're just gonna do 1.9 seconds to 60? You also get storage space in the back and in the front, like almost as much as the new Corvette. I mean, what more do you want from a car than unbeatable performance, comfort, storage space, 4 seats? It can run on CO2 neutral gas. It's like the perfect car. I'm just totally blown away, and Koenigsegg never ceases to impress. Speaking of Koenigsegg, we'll move on to another car now, but I won't talk this long about every car, but the Gemera is just like my new goal car to have. Price, 1.7 million. Okay, but if you look at the other cars they make, it's about half the price of them. They're making 300, so it's actually going to be relatively common for a Koenigsegg, but I can't wait to see them on the road. 2022, we have to wait till. I think it's worth it. I want one. If we collect enough toilet paper, we can sell it and buy a Koenigsegg. And moving on, another car Koenigsegg had, and I definitely recommend going to watch the video on it, is the Koenigsegg Jesko Absolute. So we had rumors of this last time they released the Jesko. It's the top speed version of the Jesko, so the Jesko Absolute. Styling, so they lengthened the back, they kind of smoothed everything out. They have no wing anymore, obviously, that's the big one. And yeah, did a whole bunch of things. The carbon fiber covers on the back wheels, controversial. Like the McLaren Speedtail that has them on the front. Everybody's like, it's so ugly. And I'm kind of like, yeah. I mean, it will probably look better with them off, but I mean, I don't know. I think it looks kind of neat and kind of like cool looking. It's like a covered back wheel, those things on the old cars. I think it's kind of cool. Though that being said, I would still probably go for the track version because that wing is just big wing gang. Some of the numbers on this car, it's top speed focus, so you're not gonna have much downforce and everything, but so Koenigsegg never quoted an exact speed, which is why they're great, unlike Hennessy. They didn't quote a top speed, but they did give the drag coefficient and let it up to anyone to like, hey, you want to calculate this, go ahead. So a few people calculated it, and so with the numbers of this car, top speed should be 330 miles an hour. What? How? You can't even like quantify that as like a number you would know how to, like, what does it mean? The numbers, Mason, what do they mean? So 330 miles an hour is roughly 161 yards per second. So that means you're crossing a football field and over a half in a second. It's just insane. Now, this is theoretical. They have to find somewhere to test this and someone to drive 330 miles an hour. I would love to, but I don't think my mom would approve. There's that car. I still prefer the track version, but the numbers are impressive. And it's called the Absolute because Koenigsegg say they're never going to try to go faster, which, I mean, makes sense. You don't need to go faster than 330. You don't need to go faster than 200 miles an hour on a road car, but... by the way, the Gemera is limited to 250, which is Koenigsegg's kind of new top speed. I think they're just going to leave it at it's like first to 250 wins, and they've been doing that so far. Moving away from Koenigsegg, we'll try to move into some other stuff. Another, I'd say, controversial car released is the Bentley Bacalar. Here it is. Styling-wise, so let me get into the details before I go into that. It's made by Mulliner, which is a coach building company owned by Bentley. So if you don't know what coach building is, it's when old car companies, they would be given a chassis and then you could custom design your own body you wanted to go on the chassis. So that hasn't really been a thing anymore because we don't do chassis, whatever they call it, body on frame cars and all that. It's not really a thing anymore. But Mulliner's trying to make a comeback with this car, the Bacalar. So it's basically a Bentley Continental, same engine, same drivetrain, same everything, but they restyled it, took the back seats out, which is pretty cool. There's no roof anymore. There's no roof at all. It costs $2 million. The whole thing, again, is trying to go into coach building. Customers were brought in and were used and were part of the development process, but I'm not really feeling it. And it seems like not too many people are. Styling, I mean, that's up to whoever, it's up to other people. That's opinionated. I personally really like the back. Can't say I'm a huge fan of the front. It has 5,000-year-old wood, which is interesting. And it has ash from rice cooking or something in the paint and just kind of like weird stuff like that. I don't know, maybe like rich people like that. Even with price aside, I'd still rather have a Continental GT. It's just way better. Oh, big news is the McLaren 765 LT, not to be confused with the McLaren 675 LT. This is the LT version of the McLaren 720S, which, honestly, I'm not a big 720S fan. They're amazingly fast, but I don't know. I always thought that they looked kind of weird. I'd much rather have an Aventador, but I'm a Lambo guy. Basically, the general stuff, right? More downforce, less weight. Yeah. But I actually really like how this thing looks. By far the coolest part is the exhaust pipes on the back. It's just like, so if you're behind it, it's just a flamethrower at you. McLaren, you're cool, and I like that car, but you gotta have cooler names. I'm sorry, but we now have to remember the McLaren 12C, the McLaren 570S, the McLaren 600 LT, the McLaren 720S, 765 LT, 675 LT, 650S. It's like, the numbers, Mason, what do they mean? This car, no doubt, will be extremely fast. I like the exhaust, though I would still have a 600 LT. I think that's the best McLaren, and really cool looking. Other cars we had released, we had the Zinger there. The Zinger C21 wasn't officially released at Geneva, it came out earlier, but it was supposed to be there at Geneva as sort of an official release. I really like this car. It is kind of funky looking, but it grows on me. It's been growing on me. I really like it. So it's an American company. It uses a 2.88 liter V8 that revs to like 11,000 RPM. It makes a total of, it's a hybrid, it has electric motors on the front wheel, all-wheel drive. Total is like 1,200 horsepower. It's pretty light. 0 to 60, 1.9 seconds. Another car that does other 2 seconds to 60. Track version, street version. That's cool and everything, but the really cool thing is jet fighter seating. So you sit in the middle, in the front, right? And then the person that you want to drive with you sits behind you in the back. So it's single seating. I just think that, can you imagine driving that? That'd be so cool. You're sat in the middle of the car by yourself. Like, you're in a freaking F1 car. I really love that idea. Even though it makes the car look a little funky, it is really cool. I would love to drive one of those. So make sure you subscribe so I can drive a Zinger. Another big thing is the majority of this car is 3D printed. It's supposed to revolutionize car manufacturing. Instead of assembly lines, you just 3D print, and then you can reprogram to 3D print everything you want, which I think is actually a pretty cool idea, and it would probably be space efficient and whatnot. The new Aston Martin Speedster thingamabob, kind of like the Lotus Evija, where, I don't know, I guess British people just don't like windshields. Say it looks too good. I think the Vantage looks better, and even then I'm not a huge fan of the new Vantage. I'll leave it at that. I'm not really impressed with that. There was a new Audi released, the S3, something like that. It was pretty cool. So, other cars, we got the Chiron Pur Sport. Really cool car, actually. Chiron's, there's a lot of them. They're making 500. So you have the Chiron normal, you have the Chiron Sport, which is a better handling, lighter version of the Chiron. Then you have the Chiron Per Sport, which is much more handling focused than the Sport. Then you have the Devo, which is the one-off handling version of the Per Sport, and then so on and so forth. The Per Sport is a normal Chiron. It's not, well, it's part of the Chiron range, and so it's got a big wing on it and some revised aero and stuff, and I actually think it looks pretty cool. But Bugatti has been like taking me off a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. So you pay $3 million for these cars, 3 million plus, because you expect the best quality, the best design, the best everything, especially quality. That is Bugatti's area, right? Is quality, luxury. They don't take the wing off. I'm just, listen, they don't put new body panels for the new cars. So the normal Chiron has the folding wing, all right? The wing comes up, the wing goes back down and sits flush, right? For the Chiron Super Sport, they have no wing on that car, okay? The wing stays down always for maximum speed and extend it back and stuff. But they still have the outline of the wing on the back, and it's not even the back of the car now, it's in like the middle, and it just looks hideous. They just stuck the panel there, and so you have these huge lines around the back of the car where the wing is, but it's just fixed in place always, and it just looks awful. For $3 million, I think you could put a little bit different body panels on the new car. And now for the Chiron Per Sport, they put this massive fixed wing, but you still have the outline of the smaller wing that is now stuck in place. Like, you couldn't just put new body panels that smooth that out. Oh man, it is annoying. I paid $3 million for a car, and we don't even get custom body panels for it. What kind of Volkswagen cheap stuff is this? Spend half the money and get a Gemera. That's my advice. So that's about it. We had, oh geez, BMW i4. Oh, I don't like BMW styling usually, and this is just ugly. What's up with the grills? It's electric and they still made the grills bigger. Oh. I think a new Golf came out, which is, it kind of looks like the old one, but you can still get a manual in it, which is okay. Was there a new Porsche? I don't know. They all look the same. Thank you for watching today's video. I'm going to try to do a bit different videos. So I am on spring break now, and the rest of my classes have been moved to online, so I'm gonna have a bit more time to focus on YouTube now, which is cool. And we're doing some more Minecraft stuff. I'm working on something right now for another tournament sort of thing with Gracie. Thank you for watching today's video. I hope you learned about the sadly canceled Geneva Motor Show. Let's hope that New York does not get canceled, because I will try to be there. And thank you for watching. Peace out. So, hypercars. So, online, bye.